Everybody likes to talk about jets.
Everybody likes talking about jets. Let's talk about jets, baby.
Machines don't have feelings.
Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the airplanes and all the landings that may be. Let's talk about jets.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I've always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood.
Back in our old hood.
Yeah. It's been a while for us.
And it's been 1 week for the podcast.
It's
another beautiful one in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
And it's not a bad day in ours.
Yeah, it's a little smoky, maybe.
Is it smoke? I thought it was just clouds.
Maybe it's just sunset. The lighting looks a little more
Yeah, maybe.
red shifted. I might be using that term incorrectly, but looks like there's less blue light than I would expect from normal cloud cover.
But we're back from Dudley the Dragon.
Yep.
Mr. Rogers
returned from our camping trip, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm Steven.
I'm Andrew.
And we're just getting into the episode now.
All right.
It's episode 1476.
Mr. Rogers is back, and he stole a bunch of cups from Wendy's.
Yeah. I don't know. They're all different. I would think that Wendy's has a uniform.
They just looked like Wendy's cups because they were yellow.
Yeah, they're paper cups.
Yeah, he's got a stack of paper cups, red, yellow, and blue. The blue ones are slightly smaller.
He describes them as, he says, they're paper cups, the ones that won't break, which to a kid, yeah, we'll give you these because you aren't going to shout at them. But at first I wasn't thinking in that mindset. And I was just like, these cups are going to break much more easy.
Yeah.
All you need is a strong grip or a half hour of fidgeting.
But you couldn't...
these things are destroyed.
You couldn't stack them, the glasses that way.
No,
not the way
not
Mr. Rogers does it.
I was just thinking of it from a different perspective.
Not great. He has some trouble.
Yeah, but he surprised me at the end. He takes the cups over to his table and he starts doing various things with them.
He stacks them in a tower, stacks them in a pyramid.
The pyramid, though, he uses because some of the cups, the blue ones, are shorter than the other ones. And so he decides he's going to use short cups on the side of the pyramid, which makes the whole thing kind of splay outwards away from the center, which I thought was going to end real badly.
But it ends up working until he tries to move it. And
he sort of surprised himself, I think. He's like, that did work.
Yeah, a little bit.
There was touch and go there for a second. He wasn't sure if anything was going to stack. He's like, maybe we could do this.
But yeah, I stacked some cups. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure what greater significance the cups had. He does do a shell game with them.
Yeah,
the world's easiest shell game.
I wrote in my notes, the kindest hustler.
Yeah.
He says, here's another thing you can do with cups. And he takes a red one, a blue one, and a yellow one.
Three different colors of cups.
3 different colors.
One of them smaller.
One of them a different height as well.
Yeah.
He takes a rock, a stone, and he puts it under the blue short one.
Yeah.
And then he says, now see if you can tell where it is. And then he moves them around.
You're over. He switches them exactly once.
Right.
He moves the blue one to the middle, with a single motion.
And then he says, do you know where it is? And it's like, you haven't played a trick on us as most people would.
Yeah, we do. I feel like even for his age group, this is some pretty basic stuff.
This is like the first level of the game just to teach you the mechanics that you can't possibly fail. And then he starts moving you up.
I guess. I feel like
this is how he draws you in, gets your money,
there you go.
And then he does some tricks to
I feel like just
take it all
just
away.
The one move or just the different colors would be sufficient for any age group.
Yeah, at the end I was thinking the only person this would fool is a colorblind person, but then I realized no, because the one that he's got the rock in is also shorter than all the others.
Yeah. And then there's a knock on the back door, and Mr. McFeely stops by, not with a delivery, but with a mystery.
Yes, a mystery musical score.
Yeah.
He's got this tattered piece of parchment with musical notation on it.
He says he found it when he was unpacking some shipments.
Yeah. So I guess it was used just as packing paper.
I guess, yeah.
And so he brought it to his pianist friend,
the only person he knows who plays the piano, Mr. Rogers,
so that he could find out what it is.
Yeah.
So Mr. Rogers plays it on the piano, and they discover that it is "I Love You Truly," which just causes Mr. McFeely to have a spontaneous flashback to his wedding day.
Yeah, because that was a song that was sung, a very popular wedding song.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Well, that's because, I mean, it was written in, like, 1901.
When you say very popular, do you mean that you learned it was very popular when you researched it during the episode?
Yes, but I had heard the song before.
Okay.
Not at a wedding, but in the kind of, like, Ben Crosby, I think, did a version of it. So Mr. McFeely and Mr. Rogers
both have this trippy flashback
spontaneously remember Mr. McFeely's wedding.
Which, according to this flashback, his name is David McFeely, because the footage, which I assume is of his actual wedding.
Well, I did some research on this.
Uh-huh.
It is not his actual wedding.
It's a reenactment?
For a couple, well, first of all, the maid of honor is played by his actual wife.
What?
His wife is played by, I assume, the same actress who plays Mrs. McFeely, who has appeared on the show a couple times, and we might see yet again. The first thing that tipped me off to this was the fact that, I mean, first of all, the wedding photograph is taken with a very old style of camera.
Oh, I missed the wedding photograph.
Oh, no, they take the photograph with, like, you know, hood over the thing.
He does say they've been married for 45 years, which seems impossible given the actor's age.
Yeah, I mean,
we've jumped forward in time, so I thought that maybe that was just more time had passed than I thought. But
no, well, doing them. He said they'd been married 45 years. He was, I think, 41.
Oh, when they got married?
No, at the time of this episode.
Oh,
they don't specify. He would have, but Mr. McFeely got married in like 1936.
Oh, so this was a 30s wedding.
Yeah, well, no, but the camera is an old style, like hood and flash wedding.
There was
the cars that they drive by when they're leaving the wedding are all old cars. So I don't know how much money they spent faking
Mr. McFeely.
Producing Mr. McFeely's wedding.
It's kind of a relief that this wasn't a real wedding because it seemed really like joyless. And I thought it was maybe just the cinematography, but it all felt like a bad dream.
Yeah. Like
in a way that weddings that I've attended do not.
Yeah, there's like lots of close-ups and...
Like it just felt like every word just kind of echoed into an empty void.
Yeah, they're crossfading between stuff, and before I looked it up, I'm like, this is a surprisingly well shot wedding.
Well, I figured that was just due to Mr. McFeely's love of documentary.
Yeah, no, that I figured he had the connection, but no, looking into it, they produced this entire wedding for the show at apparently exorbitant, because I mean the cars in the background do not feature. You barely see the car that they're in. And I had to go back and look to see the cars that they drove past, but they were all at least
this is like one of those
broadly period appropriate for the late 30s.
This is like one of those scenarios where there's a conspiracy to convince someone that they're in a different time period or something, like at the end of one of the Captain America movies.
Yeah.
Except that we're trying to convince someone that Mr. McFeely is a real person.
Yeah, who had... I mean, I don't know what it was like.
Government cover-up.
I don't know what Pennsylvania was like in the late 30s. Pretty progressive of Mr. McFeely in the 1930s to have a mixed wedding.
Maybe so. I don't know if I'm that familiar with the timeline on racial relations in America.
Well, I mean, I think there were still segregated schools at this point.
So, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I was expecting just like we happen to have some footage of
that's
this actor's wedding.
No.
It's also strange that a show like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood would have someone playing Mr. McFeely's wife other than... I mean, maybe she's a more common character and needs to be a good actor.
Yeah, she's been in a few episodes. Apparently she's an accomplished tap dancer. These are the things that I discovered about Mrs. McFeely. I hope we get an episode with her.
It doesn't seem like the kind of show that would get actors to kiss that aren't married. I don't know. Something about it was weird.
Yeah. I don't remember if they kissed.
No, they kiss. And that was one of the parts where I was like, this seems really loveless.
Well, there you go. Yeah. They were more...
As his wife is standing 5 feet away, holding flowers.
Yeah, there was also like a good... Like, they had like a truck shot or something as they were driving away.
Right.
From outside. I'm like, this is very... Like, I'm thinking about this as I'm watching this. Like, did they pick up second unit or something for this wedding?
I thought he just loved documentary filming so much that it would have to be a part of their wedding.
I had all these same thoughts too. It took some doing to track. I didn't know for sure that it was faked until I saw the bit about how his wife played the maid of honor.
So we
had our own mystery and we cracked it.
Yeah. Then it goes back to Mr. Rogers and Mr. McFeely.
Oh yeah.
In a awkward exchange. Like, as soon as we're out of this, like, the screen has barely brought its full color back in, and Mr. Rogers starts getting real. Yeah. He's like, so, Mr. McFeely, are you always happy in your marriage? And then he's like, oh, well, we have lots of good, happy times. And Mr. Rogers is like, some people are married for a long time, and sometimes they don't want to be married. And then Mr. McFeely's like, oh, yes, and sometimes they're not happy at all, and sometimes they get a divorce. Goodbye, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, he does not want to talk about divorce at all.
No, and at first I thought this was just like an unfortunate side effect of Mr. McFeely always leaves in a hurry at the worst times.
Mr. Rogers
comments on it. He's like, boy, Mr. McFeely really doesn't want to talk about divorce.
I'm concerned about their relationship. I'm worried about Mr. McFeely.
Well, Mr. Rogers says, I guess that's something he just doesn't like to talk about. And I was like, well, Mr. Rogers, I just think that maybe you did a terrible job broaching the subject.
I don't know. I feel like you go to Mr. Rogers' house, you have to expect that you're going to have some real basic conversations about facts.
Right, but like the first thing that he shifts the conversation to after you describe your wedding is, not everybody's happy about their marriage. Some people want to get a divorce. What do you think about that, Mr. McFeely?
I mean, yeah, but then Mr. McFeely still reacts as if he was going through the process of having a divorce and wasn't ready to tell Mr. Rogers about it. He reacts like a guilty man.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Mr. Rogers hit a nerve.
Yeah. Because Mr. McFeely is out of there.
And so I wonder if we will come back not only to the plot of The Land of Make-Believe, but I wonder if we're going to follow up this marital tension between Mr. and Mrs. McFeely.
That could be that would be heavy. I'm not as ready to deal with fictional human people having or not having a divorce as I am with puppets, for instance. And speaking of puppets, for instance, Mr. Rogers goes back over to the cups.
And he says, let's pretend that these cups are King Friday and Queen Saturday and Prince Tuesday having a picnic.
Yeah.
Which we find out it doesn't really matter that it's the cups.
No, but it's a good thing to focus your imagination on.
Oh, we forgot to mention, and this will become relevant, but while he was making towers, Mr. Rogers also tried a couple, I would say, flops of ideas with the cups.
Oh, yeah,
He puts them end to end, and he says, you could pretend that this is an airplane, and then he stands them vertically and says that they're cars.
Yeah.
Which, like, big old
Maybe
tall...
if you're a teeny little super guy, that's a car.
Yeah, I don't know.
But even then, there's not a car painted on it, so it's not.
Oh.
King Friday, Prince Tuesday, Sarah Saturday are having a picnic. Let's join them now in the land of make-believe.
Or the distant county of... I don't know. We don't know where they're having
this
picnic.
it's adjacent to the land of make-believe.
Well, it seems like we're here. Rolling hills.
Yep.
It's a beautiful countryside.
It is, yeah.
And more fleshed out than the matte painting we're used to.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful day for a royal picnic. King Friday, boy, he really wants a jet. He really wants to buy a jet airplane.
I feel like we're at midlife crisis King Friday.
This is very relatable, frankly. King Friday really wants a jet. His wife is not thrilled about the idea.
No, she says that he has a one-track mind, and King Friday says, I have a one jet stream mind.
Yeah, which really only reinforces her assertion.
Yeah. So while they're having a picnic, two rando puppets.
I also like I like the idea that because the reason the jet comes up is like the only thing that would make this picnic better, says King Friday, is if we had arrived in a jetliner.
Oh, I kind of missed that whole beginning part.
Oh no, he's like, this is a perfect picnic. The only thing that would make it better is if we arrived here on a jet. He really wanted to fly a jet to this picnic. So I don't know where this picnic is. Like, did they arrive in an old jet? Are they very far away, or is this nearby? And he just
I think he just likes the idea.
Yeah, he was just trying to broach the subject of a jet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So two rando puppets arrive.
Yeah.
Named Christy Jane Bacardi and Patty Bacardi.
Krista Jane Bacardi. Which I'm pretty sure that's Lady Aberlin doing the...
Lady Aberlin is
I guess
certainly...
Betty Aberlin doing the voice.
Yeah, Betty Aberlin certainly plays Patty Bacardi. I'm not sure if she plays...
I was going to say she definitely plays Krista Jane Bacardi.
All right, then between the two of us, we've decided she is all characters.
Plays both of them.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
And so the royal family invites them to join their picnic, and I guess they just are like, no, we already ate. Thanks, royal family, but we're going to happily decline your invitation.
Yeah, well, but she came over to see if the kids wanted to play together.
Right.
So King Friday says, yeah, you can play together for...
It's a very different royal family than the ones I'm accustomed to.
Yeah.
Where you just walk up to them and say, hey, can our kids play together?
La-di-da, mister, I'm accustomed to royal families now.
I saw the queen.
Yeah, you said the queen. So, yeah, Prince Tuesday and, what was it?
Patty Bacardi.
Go off to play together. Prince Tuesday immediately jumps in with the probing questions.
Hey, where's your dad?
Yeah. How come your dad's not at this picnic?
Except in this episode, maybe Prince Tuesday just hasn't had a lot of lines.
Yeah, he sounds weird in this episode.
He was cracking me up, everything he said. He's like, oh, hey, yeah, hey, what's going on, you guys?
I don't know if that's accurate, but it is accurate to the feeling that I got.
Yeah, no, it's my version is certainly a caricature, but it's not, I would say, too far off the mark.
Yeah.
But he's like,
you were doing Kathy's house.
Well, when I was listening to his voice, I was like, what does this remind me of? And it was Kathy's house.
So there you go.
So he's like, where's your dad? Why don't you? And so she explains, well, my parents got a divorce, and sometimes I feel sad, and sometimes I don't, but I get to see them both. They love me. They don't love each other anymore, though.
They don't love each other so much. Yeah, they specifically say, which is, like, I've seen the odd divorce episode in my many years of watching television. And this is the first time I was like, no, I still visit my dad, but my mom never comes. She's like, why not? And I'm like, yeah, how are you going to answer this? I was like, I don't think they love each other very much. And I'm like, okay, that's, I guess, the polite way of saying... I mean, that's...
What more is there to it?
I mean, if I had been writing it and also... didn't care about what people thought of it, I might have said, yeah, they hate each other. I guess that's just what I expected. My brain immediately went.
The fact that they said they don't love each other was as harsh as saying they hate each other.
I guess.
Like, I didn't hear it as like, they're not thrilled with each other.
Yeah, fair enough. So Prince Tuesday learns all about divorce. She talks about how, I guess...
Well, he doesn't learn all about divorce.
He learns almost nothing about divorce.
Because about 2 sentences into these children playing with each other, it's time for Prince Tuesday to leave.
Yeah, well, she does talk a bit about how before they got a divorce, they used to fight and stuff and have arguments.
Right.
And that's relevant. But yeah, then King Friday... calls them back.
He's like, all right, it's time to go. And I'm like, that was incredibly short. And Queen Saturday was like, that was incredibly short.
Yeah. You didn't give them any time at all to play. What gives King Friday? He's like, I've got king business to do.
Lots of castle business.
Lots of castle business. So let's get these cups packed up. And Sarah Saturday is like, always with the cups. Why are you in such a hurry? I don't get it. And he's like, I've just got stuff to do. And then we head back to Mr. Rogers' house.
All right, so let's go back to Mr. Rogers' house.
Mr. Rogers' house. Hop on the boat. Hop on the jet.
Non-jet.
Yeah, hop. Whatever you do, don't hop on a jet because we don't have a jet.
And that's a delicate issue.
Yeah, touchy.
You're really taking sides if you hop on a jet these days.
So we rejoin Mr. Rogers at the table with his cups.
He sort of debriefs us on the
concept of divorce.
Yeah. And then once we've been explained to, it's right back into the land of make-believe.
He walks over to the trolley, and I'm like, what is going on with the trolley? And he says, let's
make believe.
Don't sell it. Yeah, so then he's like, let's hop on the trolley. And
he specifically says, let's make believe that Prince Tuesday is worried. And I'm like, what a mean thing to imagine. This is creating their reality.
Also, he is vague about what he might be worried about, even though I feel like we've all figured it out at this point.
Right. And so he's talking about it with, let's go back to the land of make-believe.
Hop on the trolley, head to the land of make-believe.
I mean, I guess we had to make the trip from the picnic area anyway, so we just made an extra stop. What are you doing?
It's a singing Peace Train.
There's already a song.
Yeah, I know, but it's not Peace Train.
You can do any sort of banter you want during this time, but
it's a good
music,
song.
Anything with a tune.
I'm so musical, though. I've got a song in my soul.
So here we are in the land of make-believe.
Here we are in the land of make-believe. Lady Elaine. Nope.
Lady Aberlin.
Here we are in the land of make-believe. Lady Aberlin and Prince Tuesday are stacking some cups.
Yeah.
On the little piece of wood that sits on the castle wall for the purposes of setting things on sometimes.
Right. They're talking about feelings, I guess.
Well, the trolley comes by.
Yeah,
they say hi to the trolley.
Yeah.
And then Prince Tuesday asks if the...
He's like, hey, Lady Aberlin, do you ever think that the trolley gets angry?
Yeah, and then she drops a bombshell. Because she says, well, I don't think so, because trolley's a machine, and machines don't have feelings. And I'm like, what? Trolley doesn't have feelings?
I know. I would not assume that a trolley has feelings, except that I know this trolley, and this trolley do have feelings.
I mean, do we know this trolley has... We know this trolley communicates and says hello and stuff. I don't know that we've ever seen the trolley happy or sad.
Do we know this trolley has feelings, or do we know that Lady Aberlin is not a little bit racist against trolleys? I'm just seeing a little bit of omnic rights going on here.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but no, it turns out Trolley's a robot, I guess.
Yeah, he doesn't. According to Lady Aberlin, Data. I refuse to believe it, but according to that, he does not have feelings.
I mean, I feel like Lady Aberlin knows the trolley pretty well. I feel like maybe the trolley's, evil brother might have feelings, but they make him crazy. And then the trolley's brother maybe joined forces with the crystalline entity and threatened the Enterprise.
Oh.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah.
That's where it is. Star Trek jokes, guys.
Prince Tuesday decides that he wishes he was a machine, because then he wouldn't have feelings, and he kind of wishes everyone was a machine.
Specifically his parents.
Because then they wouldn't have feelings. He doesn't mind the happy feelings, but negative feelings are too much.
Yeah. Then King Friday shows up.
And
we get a good correct as usual, Daddy.
Yeah. Correct as usual, Daddy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the new favorite above correct as usual, Uncle Friday.
Yeah. King Friday sees they're playing with cups, and he's like, "Oh, you could pretend that those are jets."
Yeah, wouldn't that be fun?
And they are like, "Oh, you mean like this?" He's like, "Yeah, do that, please, and Tuesday you can do that also."
Yeah, but Prince Tuesday doesn't want to pretend that
King Friday's being a real control freak.
Yeah, he's like, no, I think you do want to pretend that they're jets.
We don't always... Not everything has to be jets.
Specifically a specific model of jet that he has in mind.
He says maybe they could be A&L jets, and then later he mentions and explains that A&L Jets is the company he's meeting with later.
Yeah. I feel like he had like a deluxe ultra eco-liner or something. I don't remember any of the words he uses to describe it, but I feel like he has a make and model in the name.
Anyway, when they tried to challenge this notion that it had to be about jets, he says, "Nonsense. Everybody likes to talk about jets."
Yeah. And he says, anyway, if you see a sales rep for A&L Jets come by, tell her I'm in the A room, obviously. And I thought, obviously, I would have figured maybe the J room for jet.
Airplane, aircraft,
Is it A for airplane or is it A for A&L? These are all...
Maybe the A in A&L stands for airplane.
What does the L stand for? Loser.
Lovely.
Anyways, he disappears.
Mr. McFeely reappears.
Yeah, Mr. McFeely shows up. He's got a machine.
Yep.
He's got that steam engine your friend did a project with in science fair.
Sure.
I feel like one of those cropped up every science fair. I think the school just had one that they pawned off to people who couldn't come up with their own science fair experiment.
Tuesday again reiterates that he wishes he was a machine.
Yeah, well, he asks, he's like, "Hey, Mr. McFeely, that's a nice machine. Does it have any feelings?" Mr. McFeely's like, I don't think so. It says some stuff here about use and care and maintenance, but it doesn't say anything about feelings. And so Prince Tuesday says, well, I wish I was that machine. I want to trade places with that machine. How about you leave that machine here and deliver me to Cornflake Especialty's factory? So Prince Tuesday is willing to sell himself into indentured servitude in a factory.
Just to
escape
the idea
feelings
of divorce, yeah.
Prince Tuesday is in a state right now.
For some reason, Mr. McFeely can't deliver the package. What happens? Do you remember?
I feel like I forget who suggests it. One of them says Prince Tuesday has to go inside. His mom's calling.
Right.
So it's just Lady Aberlin and Mr. McFeely. But one thing leads to another, and
Lady Aberlin is delivering.
Lady Aberlin's like, yeah, sure, I'll deliver it. And
Mr. McFeely doesn't come along. Why does he not see through this package? Like, there's 5 feet yet to go.
Yeah, the factory is in the background of the shot as they're having this conversation. He's like, that'd be great. I'm in a big hurry. Just make sure you say speedy delivery and have them sign here. I'll pick up the receipts later.
The 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot factory is in the background.
Yeah.
It should be specified. This is not on the horizon. This is
right, yeah.
within arm's reach.
Yeah. But I mean, if they were standing at the castle still, I would conceive there's like, okay, this is what counts as a long ways away. Mm-hmm. But I figure once the camera has rotated around to face something, you're at it.
Yeah.
For all practical intents and purposes.
So Mr. McFeely entrusts it to Lady Aberlin on the pretense that she convince him that she is capable of saying speedy delivery.
Yeah. They go through it a number of times.
So she gets permission to deliver it.
Yeah, and I guess it does take a while to get there because she's walking for a bit and then she hears the voice of Lady Elaine Fairchild.
And she's like, where's that voice coming from? And then Lady Elaine's like, I'm right here, and then pops up in the machine that is being delivered.
From behind the machine, I think.
Lady Elaine is all about appearing where most puppets feel restricted not to.
Yeah. Lady Elaine doesn't care about your walls, your half walls and your curtains.
Yeah, she don't stand behind no counter.
She wants, and also she really wants to know what this machine is.
She wants specifically to open the envelope labeled specifications and instructions.
Yeah, to find out what the machine is. She wants to know so bad, but Lady Aberlin is having none of that. And she says, no, I'm delivering this to Cornflake.
She says, we can't open it. I can't open it because it's not mine. And I'm thinking, that has not once stopped Mr. McFeely.
Yeah, but he's a sworn deliverer of things.
Which means that he has sworn an oath not to do that very thing.
Look, Mr. McFeely's got jobs. Mr. McFeely's got job security. This is Lady Aberlin's first day on the job. She just want to get fired.
But all she has sworn is the words speedy delivery, speedy delivery.
Right. Well, anyways, she takes it seriously and delivers it the additional 2 or 3 feet from this conversation to the factory. Lady Elaine Fairchild pops up immediately in the factory. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, Corny, get out here.
She has puppet teleportation powers.
Yeah, she moves, like, surprisingly fast. So
Corny
comes out to receive delivery.
And his greeting to them says, well, if it's not 2 women with lady names.
Yeah, I wrote that down, too. That's real good.
Because that has caused our podcast a great deal of confusion.
Yeah, and maybe him, too. Maybe he just can't keep them straight. He's like, oh, it's both of them. Great.
Mr. Rogers is like, how am I supposed to do this scene? Keeping these names straight.
Anyways, there's a good bit where Lady Elaine
tries to strong arm Corny into...
She keeps saying, he's like, and everybody wants to know what it is. And he's like, well, and Lady Aberlin's like, yeah, you need to sign here. And she's like, and everyone just wants to know what's inside the envelope, what's the machine. So he reveals that he's thinking about making something new at the factory. In addition to...
But he's not ready to reveal it yet.
He's not ready to say what, even though, in the words of Lady Elaine Fairchild, everyone is just dying to know what it is.
Lady Elaine doesn't like when other people have things that she doesn't have.
She doesn't like secrets.
Be it information
she
or
likes
power.
To know.
Yes.
I respect that. Lady Elaine Fairchild has my anxieties. She asks for a hint even. And I thought we might get one. No. I thought, oh, you got it. But no, Cornflake just says, I'm not ready to tell you yet. I'll tell you when I'm ready. And that's about that.
Yeah, it looks like we've got kind of two storylines threading through this week's episode about royal divorce and factory expansion.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, those were in fact, we come back. I guess, did we leave the land of make-believe?
Well, we better.
Yeah.
Hop on the trolley again.
Yep.
I mean, this is half of our day now. We got to start listening to podcasts or something.
Yeah. Yeah, boy, a lot of commuting we've done today.
Yeah. All right, well, here we are back in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Back in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Mr. Rogers talks about how, listen, you can't just go opening things that belong to other people.
At this point, I'm not really trying to sell you on this theory, but it occurred to me. It seems like Mr. Rogers is hammering home the idea that you shouldn't be opening other people's mail. And Mr. McFeely, we need to talk about what's going on between you and your wife. I'm wondering if Mr. McFeely's compulsion to open other people's mail has started interfering with his marriage.
That could well be.
And so he's trying to talk to Mr. McFeely about it.
You've tied it all together. I was just like, I thought this episode was about divorce. Now we're talking about being patient and not looking at other people's things.
Yeah, I don't know if children are ready to have an entire episode all about divorce. You got to distract them a little bit.
That's why Sesame
you got to
Street
feed it to them
aired
in little bits.
Sesame Street had an episode about divorce that they never aired.
You got to save those for our Big Bird episode.
Oh.
It's probably not this week, though.
Oh, well, then it's not going to tie in.
I guess not.
Snuffleupagus, his parents almost got divorced. But then that never happened in canon, I guess.
And that's the true way to save a marriage.
Yeah, exactly. Retconning.
Mr. Rogers also says that it's important that you're not a machine because machines just do the same thing over and over again, and people grow, and machines don't grow.
Yeah.
And then he sings a song.
Which I feel like the trolley has a pretty full life. But I guess he does just go back and forth. Wonder if they ever open up a branch route. I mean, that's about it for...
Yeah, that's about it for the episode.
Mr. Rogers stacks up his cups, and then he leaves. That's the end of the episode.
Episode 1476. Next week, we'll be back with episode 1477.
Volume 2, episode 2.
On the Amazon collection. Be sure to check out our Tumblr. We will have pictures of...
all sorts of fun stuff. Jets, maybe? Maybe just a bunch of pictures of jets this time.
We'll have a picture of Mr. McFeely kissing a woman who is not his wife. We'll probably have other stuff on there, too. It's
like pictures of jets.
Please won't you be my.tumblr.com.
It's a good Tumblr. I recommend it.
Our theme song was provided by Dan Brisbane.
Dan, call it a comeback. He's Brisbane for years. Rocking the fears, putting suckers in tears.
And our trolley transition tune was made by Rindale.
Ryan gonna knock you out. Trolley gonna knock you out. That's not as good as the first bit.
We'll be back when the week is new, and we'll have more ideas for you.
Yeah, like
Divorce.
Jay-Z. Yeah, Divorce.
And Jay-Z, I guess.
I think there was a Jay-Z song. It might have been an LL Cool J song. I mix up all the J rappers.
Well, Andrew, you've thoroughly proven that you'll have things you want to talk about.
So many things, like jets. You want to talk about jets? I want to talk about jets.
But what if I don't want to talk about jets?
Well, I know you'll have things you want to talk about, and I will too. I stole the show!
So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please, won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please, won't you be my podcast?
Married for 45 years.
Have you always been happy?
Oh, nobody's happy all the time, but Betsy and I have had a big share of happiness.
Well, some people get married, and after a while, they're so unhappy with each other that they don't want to be married anymore.
Well, I know, and sometimes they get divorced, and that's all very sad. Well, I've got to be going now. Thank you for playing the music for me. I certainly appreciated it.
Well, I'm glad you stopped by, Mr. McFeely.
Good day. Thanks
for
again.
telling us about your wedding. Oh, Mr. McFeely left so fast. As soon as we started talking about divorce. guess that's something he doesn't like to talk about.